At 14 years old, Rock Thomas stood in front of his dad holding a football, waiting for the moment that every boy hopes for. Son, let's go play. What he got instead was a lecture about bills, responsibility, and how life is too hard for games. And that was the last day he ever asked his dad to play with him. And this isn't just a story about business success or motivation. It's about deep wounds that shape us as men. The fatherhood wounds that we actually carry into adulthood, and how they show up, and how we lead, how we love, and how we even raise our own families. Gentlemen, I want to prepare you. This conversation today, man, it is raw. It is emotional. It's packed with lessons about what it really takes to be the dad our kids need and the man that we were called to become. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. All right, Rock, welcome to Dad Edge, man. So good to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Really, Dad's an important role in life.
Well, I agree, man. I've been doing this work for a decade, and you and I have a different story, but similar impact, if that makes sense. But so I'll share with you how I found you. And by the way, you guys in the audience, Rock doesn't know how I found him. But so I host an event every year called the Dad Edge Summit. Mm-hmm. And that was in October. One of my coaches that works for me, he's like, hey, man, I would actually like to show a clip of a video after we do a workshop. And it's this guy named Rock. And I'm like, okay, what's the video? And he sent it over to me. And I was in tears. I was like, this might be one of the most powerful things I've ever seen in this space. And I've never heard of this guy. And I would love for you to actually start there with what that video was all about.
Yeah, it came up fairly organically. I was at a Tony Robbins event, bumped into some guys actually from Montreal, where I'm originally from, and they were running Goalcast. That's where that came up, which was back maybe 8 years ago. It was pretty cutting edge at the time. Now everybody's doing these videos with B-roll and music and all that. And he said, he listened to my story and he says, I think we could do something. Came to my house, we recorded for 3 hours, and they cut up the video into, the story based as their expertise. And as you know in the story, it's 7.5 minutes long. It's now being seen by over 125 million people. I've received tens of thousands of comments, people that averted committing suicide, people that changed their life, people that related, people that said, oh my God, you get me, etc. And for those of people that haven't seen the story, the crux of the story is that the relationship between a boy and his father obviously is very strong, is very important. And I was a very young, passionate kid from a divorced family and troublemaker with my mom. So when I went to my dad, his thing being German, Dutch, was, I'm going to straighten this boy out. And there was a lot of tough love, but in that process, there was a lot of pain on my side of never being seen, never having FaceTime with my dad, always wanting him to be proud. And I had a turning point at 14 years old where this was the day we were going to go play football together. And I was going to have my dad's entire attention on a Saturday morning. And it didn't happen again. And that's when I made a decision to become a millionaire. It wasn't like articulated that way, but I just had so much pain from being the youngest of 7 kids, not being seen, not being felt, and stuff like, only a broken arm told, suck it up and have a broken arm for 2 weeks, go visit my mom, have it re-broken by the doctor, go home with a cast and have your father go, what are you doing, you pussy? And so there's a lot of trauma physically that occurred. And even when he got sick with cancer when I was 29 or 30, I flew to Australia twice where he was living to take care of him, and lost my job, lost my marriage, lost everything I earned trying to take care of him, going back and forth for several years, waiting for that crumb of I'm proud of you. And it never came. And so it manifested in my coping mechanisms. I tried everything, of course, but the default was working out a lot and working a lot. So I built businesses from it. I got my ass in the gym. Um, Even up to recently, happy to have a push up contest with a 22-year-old kid and kick his ass, you know. Um, but all of that born out of the trauma and pain of not having the relationship that I think is natural and desired with the father. And so my life's work has gone from being this overachiever, which you know the David Goggins story. People are like, "That's super cool." I go, "No, that's not cool. That's a man who had so much pain in his childhood that he continues to provoke so much pain into his adult life and try to, make it a thing. Oh, I can run on broken bones. I can do 1,000 pull-ups in a day. I can, stay hard. No, people don't want to stay hard. People want to be connected. People want to be seen and loved and felt and heard and appreciated. So I did that David Goggins things for decades. And sadly, it's rewarded in North America quite a bit. You're an achiever, right? You're an overachiever. You're providing for your family. But I've learned since then that it leads to an empty, hollow heart. You can have all the trophies and all the awards, and I collected the boats and the cars and the houses, and then it's just more shit to deal with. So that story is, the episode between me and my dad, and the healing continues for a lifetime because the wounds are deep. But it struck home with a lot of people because a lot of people in our generation, my generation, I'm 62, um, didn't, the parents were coming from scarcity, coming through the war and things like that. And they spoke a scarce language. There's not enough time. Life is difficult. You have to work hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. That goes into your innocent mind. And then I just relive those. And so my goal now is to be that one person that breaks the cycle and the things that didn't serve that my father and my family and that don't serve me so that my children don't have to do that work.
Wow. Would you mind, Rock, just describing in detail that day that you came to your dad and asked him to play with you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. I can
Yeah.
remember where my room is upstairs, the living room slash his office, because we didn't have enough room. We didn't have a TV when I grew up. We just had books and work on the farm. So that's all I did was do extra jobs. Um, but he had promised me that this week he would throw the football around with me. And I never seen my father play ever in my life. I was about 14 years old. And I remember waking up excited early. My father usually got up early and studied the Bible at 5 o'clock. So I knew he would be up. So I came running down the stairs. And as soon as I rounded the corner and I saw him sitting at his desk where it's a familiar position, yeah, I felt something was off. And I went up to him and I was like, "Dad, uh, today's the day, eh?" And he looked at me and he got angry. And the anger, of course, is just fear he wasn't going to pay the bills, fear I was going to distract him from the work he had to do. I get that now. I was just a nuisance to him providing for the family. And he just stood up. And I remember like his shadow cast over me. And I looked up at him and he goes, "Do you have any idea what it takes to run this family? Put food on the table, put a roof over your head. No, you don't. Now get out there and play on your own. One day you'll see life is difficult and you'll have to work hard, just like me. Now get out of here." And it just broke my spirit, man. I was just like, I was thinking of that day for so long, for that moment. And the workaholic was born in me. For there was no more playing that was important. I just worked night and day, every job I could get, multiple jobs. I was an entrepreneur at 12, 13 years old on the farm. And then 16 years old, the quintessential, cutting lawns and hiring my friends and blah, blah, blah.
Sorry about that. I was getting a phone call that was going through my computer. You didn't hear that, did you?
I did not.
Okay, good. I just wanted to disrupt our recording, but I gotta tell you, Rock, when I heard that story, when I saw that video for the first time, I think I'm sure one of the reasons you continue to get thousands of emails and so many views is that so many people can put themselves in that position. And for me, I didn't have a father figure. Like he was out and he's gone. I actually kind of crazy story. I ran into my father when I was 30, so 20 years ago.
Whoa.
Yeah, in a coffee shop. Totally random. I knew who he was. I knew what he looked like because I had met him, and we had a very, very short relationship when I was 12. And so I didn't, my mom dated and was married 3 times and then live in boyfriends. And so there was always a toxic father figure around. And wasn't a whole lot of guys that took a whole lot of interest in me or my life as the kid or whatever. But anyway, you know, when I vowed to do this podcast 10 years ago, and it was, I have 4 boys, and it was like, it's same as you. This is on my watch. This is going to be different. I'm going to break this pattern. This is not something I'm going to continue on with. But Rock, the thing that hit me hard in the heart, man, when I saw that video, and guys, we're going to have a link in the show notes for you to go check out this video. It was when you looked at the camera and said, that was the last day I asked my dad to play with me. And I don't, I don't know what it was, Rock. Maybe it was the look on your face. Maybe it was the tone in your voice. Maybe it was the fact that I was afraid that my kid would be saying the same thing. Not that I say no to playing with my kids, but I I do play with my kids. I play with them often, but it hasn't always been easy for me to play, if that makes sense. Like I can play with my older guys, like my 19, 17-year-old, like, hey, let's go through the football, let's go to the gym, let's whatever they want to do. Like it's kind of more grown up stuff. It's more like the little guy stuff, that I had a harder
Mm.
time with. And
Because you didn't experience it?
I I guess, like I'm not really sure, but here's what I'll tell you what you inspired me to do personally. So it was in October I saw this video of yours. It was also in October that I started living life quite a bit differently, where I'm insanely intentional with 5 areas of my life. So my marriage, my kids, my business, my health, and who I am at the heart of who I am. And every single week, I tactically accomplish missions in those areas of my life. And one thing that I set out to do after watching that video was I will play with my kids 300 days out of 365 days in the next year. And my answer will not be no. And even if my kids come to me, another promise I vouched to myself is if my kids come to me and say, will you play with me? If I can't do it right then and there, I will say, I can't right now, but I will here. I will 5. Or if I can't right now, Saturday morning, 10 o'clock, we'll go to the football field. Let's go play then. Absolutely. Let's go do it. Right. But seeing your video, like, lit a fire under me because and not for the fear of that I didn't want my kid to be like, my dad always told me no when he wanted to play with me. It was really for the fact of that I wanted my kid to be like, my dad always played with me. That's what I wanted him to say, and I got to tell you, man, it brought me to my emotional knees to hear you share that story about your dad, because I think every dad who's listening is for 2 reasons. Every dad who listens to that can remember maybe being you to some degree. And then it's also a mirror in the face of like, are you being this dad or are you being the dad you want to be?
Right.
Yeah. What, it, so you drove full force into being a workaholic, being a really, really fit guy. Do you think that maybe that came from like, you just wanted that validation so freaking bad, man, that those were some of the things that were going to bring those things?
It was definitely a big part of it was I kept on pretending if my dad was watching, would he be proud? And I just, from playing hockey, I remember playing hockey. We were down 1-6-2 with 2 minutes left in the game. And I went and scored 2 goals. And people are like, why are you bothering? Because we're not going to score 4 and win. And I had developed this thing like, if I could just show up in every shift of my life, metaphorically, if everything I did better than anybody else. I did it stronger. I did it more consistently. I learned more. I reached harder. Then maybe one day somebody would say to my dad, hey, your kid's amazing. Like, do you not know? See, where are you? And then he would be called in. So I think there was a big part of that came from that, is he watching? And then another part of it just came from the fact that I felt flawed. I felt like something was wrong with me. Why would my dad not want to spend time with me? There must be something wrong with me. Why is my mom not spending time with me? She gave me up to my dad. I never see her really. Once in a while, when I do see her, she's usually giving more attention to her boyfriend. So there's obviously something wrong with me. So I need to go fix it. And how do I fix it? I got to run faster in football. I won the academic achievement award in my school. Um, I was really good at football. Uh, Somehow I, managed to do okay with the ladies. Like I was so desperate to prove through outside accomplishments that I was enough to try to confirm to myself that I wasn't completely broken and flawed.
How did that show up for you in sorry man, this is getting to me. Um cuz your words are mine. A lot.
Yeah.
But how did this show up for you in friendships and even intimate relationships?
Oh, hello. You asked the right questions, man. Um, Really hard for me to have relationships with men because I don't trust them. And I wasn't conscious of this until actually very recently. Um, I would sabotage. I would start the relationship and then I would sabotage it. I would find a way to either not feel like I belonged or to make myself better than them or not as good enough. There's always an out, a reason why, I didn't fit in. Um, and then, I've been married and divorced a few times and really great marriages that I just fucked up, that I again got to that point where I'm like, innately, there's something wrong with me. She's loving me so much. When's the other shoe going to drop? And then I would test and I would do things to push the limits to test the love because I didn't trust it. And eventually she's like, okay, you're an asshole. Like I'm not going to put up with you working all the time saying you're going to take me out on date night or whatever it was, usually overdoing something. And so those, I'm married today and I continue to work on the relationship with an incredible spiritual woman. Um, and we put in the work and we have really, really come a long way. Um, and I have few good male relationships. I have lots of acquaintances. Um, but, in a kind of sad way, I mostly have relationships with people that I'm working with because I feel safe that I can coach them or I can impact their life or I can do something for them because still probably deep down inside, I have that little voice that, you got to prove that you're valuable, if that makes sense.
All right, gents, a quick break here and some crazy exciting news. I've got something that I'm really, really excited to share with you. And this has been a decade in the making. After 10 years of working with over 4,000 men from around the world, I finally sat down and wrote a book that captures everything that we've learned over the past decade and what it truly means to lead your family, lead in your marriage, and lead yourself at the highest level. This book took me over a year to write, and it's called The Pursuit of Legendary Fatherhood, and pre-orders have officially opened. And here's the deal. When you pre-order the book doesn't come out until September 16th, 2025. But when you pre-order the book, you're not just getting a book. I'm going to be giving you guys access to my two most popular and powerful courses absolutely free. These courses men have paid for $500 each over the past years, and they're game changers because these are the pain points of men. You're going to have access to my first course, which is Creating More Patience. This course is going to help you master your triggers, respond instead of react, and become calm and confident, the calm and confident father that your kids need. You're also going to have access to my Creating an Extraordinary Marriage. This course is packed with tools for communication, connection, intimacy, and how to build a relationship that thrives and not just survives. Like I said, each one of these are $500 each, But if you pre-order the book, you're going to have access to both of those. So between the book and these courses, you're going to walk away with the blueprint of leading your family with strength, with confidence and clarity, and no more guesswork. So head on over to thedadedge.com/legendary book. Again, thedadedge.com/legendary book. Lock in your pre-order, grab these incredible bonuses. They're not going to last long. Again, go to thedadedge.com/legendary book. You'll get access to those courses immediately. You'll begin the work, you'll begin the clarity, and that is my gift and my thanks to you. All right, back to the show. Oh, yeah, it makes 1,000% sense. Like I said, to some degree, your words could easily be the words that I've used over the years as well. And it's fascinating to me that, that you and I kind of came out on the other side of this. I wouldn't say unscathed, but we did the best we could with it. And this is only half the story, Rock. I mean, and for those of the guys in the audience don't know, like when your dad was diagnosed with cancer, correct? Like you, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you like leave everything behind? Like everything, like you kind of lost everything and you went and took care of this man, correct?
Yeah. I was working in the airlines. I flew across the country. I moved him. I took care of him, even though I'm the youngest of 7 kids and he had many kids living in that country, but they were all like, giving him the Heisman because he was not a cool father. It was a, you know, especially to the ladies, my sister is still reeling from it. He was a very, very cold. He was a good man inside, but his strategy sucked as far as the father was concerned.
Can you talk about that for a second? Like, so yeah, I mean, do you think, I'm just curious, do you think that maybe there was good intention there, but he was just like,
Yeah,
man, I just don't know what I'm doing. Or do you think,
yeah.
yeah,
It was that. He should never have had children. He never spent time with us. He never wanted to spend time with us. He did it out of what he felt was duty. So he tried his best to provide a roof over our head and food. That was it. It was like a boarding house, like you were living in somebody else's house. But as far as spending time with you, talking to you, asking you about your day, going to any of the activities, that was not even on the table. Uh, I joke sometimes. I say he would once in a while drive me to hockey and slow down and throw me out of the car. Like that's not far from the truth. And I would go to hockey and all the other, I don't know, you're like 9 years old and the dads are tying your shoelaces, your skate laces, and I'm the only kid in the room with no dad. And so again, you get all these feedback that there's something wrong with you. You know, now you're getting to me. Um, and then my dad sometimes would wait. I usually walked and carried my bag literally a mile and a half, but when it was further away, I'd convince him to drive me. And he would wait in the parking lot and work in the car at minus 40 degrees, leave the car running. And he would say, as soon as that game is over, you better be the first person, the first kid out of that locker room, or you'll be in trouble. So all the other kids were getting their chips and their little Fanta orange, remember still. Um, I would undo my skates, put them in my bag, throw everything, stay dressed in my hockey equipment, sweaty, put my helmet in my bag and run out the door. And everybody's like, where are you going? And all the kids are throwing tape at each other and laughing and having a great time and talking about the plays. And off I scampered to please my dad. And that led indirectly to me being, struggling socially because I didn't get the reps as a kid. I always had to leave. So yeah, those things, they affect you. And like you said, we're lucky that like I could easily have been a drug addict or an alcoholic or killed myself. And I don't say that out of pity. I just say it out of I I sought Tony Robbins and other teachers, and I've spent over $2 million on personal development. I mean, you name the therapy or whatever, acupuncture, breath work, primal screaming, meditation in India, acupuncture, like you name it, I've pretty much freaking done it, Joe Dispenza, da, 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 da. Um, and I really believe if I didn't do that, I would not be the resourceful human I am today for sure.
Well, I'll tell you, man, your hard work has paid off. It really has, because I honestly think without you learning the skills, without getting those reps, and for you and for, quite frankly, me too, those reps came later in life, right? Those lessons came. Me, like you, I also sought out mentors constantly. Tony Robbins was like one of my first guys. I even bought like The Edge.
Yeah, I
Um,
love that one. It's one of my
yeah, on
favorites.
CD, which
Yeah.
actually kind of funny. Dad Edge is that was actually inspired by Tony Robbins, in
Wow.
The Edge. And it's because like the way he described it in that CD series was like this is meant to give you the skills to navigate a fulfilling life, to give you that edge, right? So I'm like, "Oh my gosh," like, and I remember like I couldn't get enough of those. Like
Yeah.
same as you. I definitely haven't spent millions, but I know I've spent six figures easy on personal development just because like I constantly want to have someone teaching me something, a mentor, always. Like I joke about it, but I hire a coach every year, to learn. But the thing, man, I interviewed a guy. I don't know if you know this individual. His name is Kevin Riley. He's an African American gentleman. He's up in New York. He's in politics. He's big time in the dad space. He founded a community called the Dad Gang, and one of the most inspiring individuals I've ever had on the podcast. And he said something that and Rock, I'm just going to tell you right now, you just met me. I'm not a crier. I've recorded almost 1,400 podcasts. I think I've cried. This might be the 15th time. Like it's not, but your story like really hits me. But the thing that I'll share with you, like the hockey story, right? For me, it was baseball. It was also wrestling. Kevin said something because he kind of grew up like you and I did. Like toxic father figure and then absent. And he said something that hit me so freaking hard, man. And I have a feeling it's going to hit you hard because the three of us experienced this. When you're a little guy, like little league, like you're 10, 11, 12, 13, like, and you're playing that little league and all the dads, man, they're out there in the stands. And then the game is over and all the kids, all your buddies are going up to their dads, right? And then you walk out either to he's waiting in the parking lot. Maybe you don't have one at all. Maybe you're sitting in the back seat of your buddy's car because his dad is the one driving you. But there's a tremendous, sorry, there's such a fucking tremendous void there, man. Like as a kid coming off of performing, sorry, damn, this sucks. Coming off of performing something and that guy isn't there. And it's just like, what the heck? But you don't say that as a kid. You don't. It doesn't hit you until well into adulthood. And then you look back on it and you're like, crap, that was that wasn't fun. And I think we have those opportunities. And I know for a fact you've got your kids, you've got your grandkids. There's not a doubt in my mind, Rock, that you were there for your kids.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. It reminds me of this meme that shows this guy that he's I don't know, he's in therapy or whatever, and at the bottom it says, "Dad, couldn't you have just fucking showed up to my baseball game?" You know?
Yeah, right.
So it's so true. But I also heard somewhere it's like it's not even that you hit the home run or you hit the winning thing. It's that after you swing the bat and you're running to first base, that you can look and you see your dad going, or
Yes.
like, that's my boy. That's my boy. That's what we want, right? I sold one of my businesses in 2006 and I moved to Florida and took my son and put him into a golf school. And I spent 150 days a year on the golf course with him. And, you know, just like retired for a few years and trying to fill in everything that my dad wasn't to me, you know. Now my son works with me in real estate. My two girls are married to athletes. They're all doing really, really well. They're super healthy models. I don't say that. I just say that because they take care of their body. Um, Great parents, highly, highly emotionally evolved, very conscious of not creating any of the attachment styles emotionally for their children, nourishing them properly. Um, so sometimes people ask me, what's the proudest thing you've accomplished? And my answer used to be my kids, but I think it's now Um, watch watching them be better parents.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, you nailed it. You nailed it. Big time. Like I'm starting to see, so like for all you guys in the audience who have like the little ones, right? Your little girls and the little boys and all that, you're gonna turn around tomorrow and they're gonna be in their 20s and you're like, holy crap, right? Can I share something with you that just to really hit this point home?
of course.
So I you may or may not be able to see this just because of the of the glare sometimes, but um there was something that I bought um on Easter, and it's right here. And hang on, let me just turn this light off so you can kind of see it. Um, that is, there you go. As my 17-year-old son, he is the starting center for his football team. He's a beast of an athlete, and that's his 7-year-old cousin,
Yeah,
who's a little girl.
yeah.
And I took this video because he's swinging her back and forth with this huge smile on his face. She's got a huge smile on his face. And dude, this video, like, and for those of you guys watching on YouTube, you can see it. Dude, this video, like, literally just brought me so much peace,
Joy. Yeah.
joy. And I looked at my son and I put my arm around him. He came up to me afterwards and I just looked at him. I go, never change. And he goes, and he's a wonderful young man. He goes, what are you talking about? I go, never change, ever. I was like, I just got a preview, and I've gotten a few previews, but I just got a really good preview of the dad that I think you're going to be. Do you want to see it? And he goes, sure. I showed it to him. I was like, dude, look at the look on your face. Look at how you're connecting with your cousin. Like, look at the smile on her face as you swing her. That right there is a man who is going to be a good dad to his kids. I was like, and dude, that brought me so much joy. And then I shared that video with my in-laws, and because they were there too, and they were just like, that's incredible, like just seeing that. So yeah, seeing that generational impact is huge. But the next question I have for you is, I honestly feel, man, like you and I are probably doing good work, right? We're doing better than the generation before us. But here's maybe where I lean into just personal advice from you. Like, and I think you know what I'm talking about. For guys like me and you who don't actually sometimes really understand how to know if we're doing a good job, and we're always questioning if we're doing a good job, and we're so motivated to do a good job, and there's just that little bit that's lingering out there of like, am I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Of course. Of course. And that voice of doubt is the ego trying to keep you stuck. And I think that sadly, most people are overrun by the amygdala, the survival part of the brain, and they live in such fear, doubt, and worry. And um, we talked a little bit offline about my new book. And the reason so I just came from a spiritual retreat where I did 2 days of silence, first time in my life where I have not spoken for 2 days. And I had an epiphany. I had an epiphany realizing that so much of my chatter is actually negative. And I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a positive guy. But internally, I've got this gossip wheel going about the waiter's too slow, the temperatures, the air conditioning's not working. Why are those people yelling at a table when we're in a dining room? And that person drives like constant. It's really just because I grew up in a traumatized way. I've amplified my recognition of the environment to make sure I'm safe. When you're raised by parents that keep you safe, they do that job for you. They're monitoring the environment for you. And so you get to be more free. But if at 7 years old, you cut your leg down to the bone and your father tells you to tie toilet paper around it and don't bother him, and you have a scar an inch wide for the rest of your life, you very quickly realize you have to grow up before you should. And so you start to go, well, nobody's got my back. I better watch out what's going on. When you're the youngest of seven and your food gets stolen from you and you get smacked on the back of the head and you get bullied, you grow up quickly. But it got overdone. And so my new book is called Change Your Life One I Used to at a Time. And so to answer your question is, how do you know? Here's how you know. When you have that conversation with yourself, which we all do all day long, anytime something floats up that you know in your heart is negative or doesn't feel good, you'll know you're judging somebody, you're critical, you're beating yourself up, you're saying, "Oh, you idiot, why did you hit the ball that way? You know better. God damn it." Anytime something like that floats up, immediately you insert my phrase. I used to complain. I used to beat myself up. I used to question if I'm a good father. I used to criticize my wife for leaving the lights on, whatever it is. But now, and you have to go forcefully because you're speaking to your unconscious mind. You're giving a directive and an order for a new version of you. It's like a new app you're installing. We used to use this app. I used to use that app, but now we use this app. You're changing the code, and then you insert whatever your higher self tells you. It doesn't matter. And if you know the book Atomic Habits, ideally it's something so small that you can accomplish it. The body is wired to give you dopamine when you accomplish something small. So now you're harnessing science. When people, this is a big thing, and I have, and I love Tony Robbins. We both love him, but here's the mistake I believe he makes. He says, set a big, hairy ass goal. You're going to become a millionaire. You're going to lose 30 pounds. You're going to be the best dad ever. What that does is it sets off alarms in your survival mechanism of what if I fail? Your survival mechanism uses the past. I told you so. I told you were going to mess up. Remember that time you messed up? Oh, now you're getting a chance to tell a joke in front of people. Last time you did that, you sounded like an idiot. I watch out. So it uses the past to keep you in the knowing, and it uses the future what ifs to keep you in the knowing. And then most people are now comfortably numb in their comfort zone, not happy. So the way you change that, let's say your example, somebody's overweight, they don't have the body they want. And they set a goal to lose 30 pounds. And they got a trainer and they change their diet. And 3 weeks later, they're eating a bag of chips late at night and feeling terrible. Tub of ice cream. What you do instead is you go, oh my God, here I go again, eating a tub of ice cream. I used to eat a tub of ice cream at night, but now, search, as a healthy person, whenever I see an elevator, I'm going to sometimes take the stairs. That's it. That's all you have to do. Your RAS, the reticular activating system, will plug in and will start to look for other occasions for you to move toward your North Star, your absolute athlete, your best version of yourself, your highest version, the unwounded child. It will happen automatically. You do have to journal to keep on feeding the new version of yourself to yourself. So I write down and I get up in the morning and I read my journal. It goes into my unconscious mind, and then it starts to look for occasions to build upon it. To me, I find myself more joyous, more happy. I get to feel good. I've been using it with my clients, and people are giving me feedback like, I don't know, I just feel like I can handle my problems better. I feel more grounded. And I'm talking about people that had cocaine addictions. I'm talking about people that were hardcore problems, transforming one I used to at a time.
Interesting. So the psychology behind this is I used to do this, but now I do this. And we say it loud and we say it with some directness, correct? Because that's what maybe rattles the conscious mind, subconscious mind.
Yeah, yeah. The problem is that up until you're 25 years old, you've been programmed by about 11 or 12 different sources. And I write about it in the book. But the big one we talk about are the parents, but there's a lot more. There's religion, there's culture, there's politics, there's influencers online today. There's the girlfriend that broke up with you on your first date that traumatized you, and now you don't talk to girls and you feel like, there's a whole collection of this part of you below the surface that wants to stay that way. You can't just go to an event or read a book and go, you know what, I'm going to be a good dad now. You've got a whole ecosystem already functioning below the surface that wants to go back to you being angry at your kid just the way dad was angry at you, for you being, stonewalling somebody when you're upset and not talking to your wife for 3 days. You can't just say, I'm going to be a better husband. It doesn't work that way. I've tried it. But if you say, oh, there I go again, stonewalling my wife, immediately, I used to stonewall my wife, but now I'm going to go at least give her a hug. It's hard to do. And then, but your higher self wants the transformation. So you just ask your higher self, what would my higher self do? And make it super small.
What is the thing that actually keeps us from growing? Is it the reticular active? Is it that system you were talking about? Is that the thing that wants to
It's
keep
your
us
identity.
safe?
It's look at it this way as you're like software, right? You were programmed.
Yep.
And so you get all these apps that we have today that are uploaded into your phone. But if you don't have an app called empathy, which I didn't experience growing up, you can't generally perform empathy unless you get programmed on what empathy looks like, feels like, and is. And so if you like, sometimes my kids will say to me, you're dad, you don't even freaking, are you a narcissist? You're like, you're not even empathetic in this situation. And I'm like, I don't want to blame my parents, but I never had empathy. So I'm a little bit oblivious to it. It's not that I don't care. It's just I don't have that muscle developed. So I have to consciously work on that. And so we're running these programs underneath the surface, and we think that they're the right programs to us. And after a while, you actually, Larry, start to fight for your limitations. Oh, I'm so bad with names. Oh, geez, I'm bad with names. I'm not a morning person. Oh, I'm an introvert. How are you going to make an impact on the world if you keep on talking to yourself like that? And
It's very true.
that's what we do. We fuck ourselves. Pardon me.
We do. Yeah, we do. I've seen that. If you some people want their limitations so bad they'll fight for them. With the journaling exercise, so I used to do this and now I do this, and then you said that we reinforce this through journaling on a regular basis. Is there a certain formula you follow when you journal?
You just write it out.
Just write
That's
it
it.
out.
I used to, and I will have a journal that accompanies my book when it comes out in the fall, but it's basically as simple as that. I used to, but now in caps, and then fill in the rest. And you don't need a coach. You don't need a therapist. You don't need anybody. You need just to trust and listen to your intuition and your soul. And that's part of the fun part of it is it's kind of like a scavenger hunt. The first version of that thing doesn't have to be, I used to hate working out, but now I drink water. Okay, good. I used to hate working out, but now I do 5 squats while I wait for the coffee to be made. Oh, cool. That's fun. I used to hate working out, but now I make love lasting a little bit longer, so I sweat more. Like whatever shows up, who cares, right? Be creative. Be that 5-year-old kid again. What would that version? It's like the statue of David, right? You were born limitless, and then all this junk got put on you. You should behave this way. You're not worthy. People neglected you, and you built up all these faces and this falseness. And all we're going to do is chip away at it one I used to be at a time until the pure you comes out, and you'll be more joyous, you'll be more happy, you'll be more free, you'll attract more business, you'll see things start to happen effortlessly. Like my life right now is just like the phone's ringing, people are sending me business, clients. It's a beautiful, beautiful process that's inexpensive and natural and gorgeous. And I'm convinced, Larry, it's a New York Times bestseller. And when I wrote my first book, I was ashamed of it. I was like embarrassed because I didn't think I was an author. And for the first time, I'm as I'm doing the manuscript, I'm like, oh my God, the publisher who gets this is going to be so lucky. And I don't say that out of ego. I say that out of this is a game changer.
I love that, man. When do you think the book will come out? I know you're about 70% of the way done with the manuscript, and I know
The
how things
plan, the
go.
plan is to ramp up late summer to go on a tour of podcasts, to get back out there speaking. You are the first podcast transmission that I've talked about this book. It's been a secret ish just in my small community. I already have lots of big names that are going to endorse it. I have our testimonials. Like it's it's just natural. It's like a birth of 25, 30 years of looking for what heals us as humans, what makes a difference, and what works, combining neuroplasticity with science and street smarts. That's really all it is. I'm not a doctor. I'm not any of those things. I'm a guy that cares about people and wants to find a way to be a happy human and make a difference, and just kept on searching and never stopped.
Well, I gotta tell you, man, I'm glad you didn't stop searching. I'm glad you didn't stop because maybe we wouldn't have run into each other and I wouldn't have seen the probably the most powerful video that I've ever seen in my adult life when it came to fatherhood, and that was you, my friend. So thank you for that.
Well, I
Gentlemen,
think I think
yeah, go ahead.
we have a lot of a very similar archetype from our experience. So, this is the first time we're meeting, but I feel like I know you for a long time. I feel like we could just talk forever.
Same, same. We have such a similar background. It's really, really scary. I think that's what it's why I think I was drawn to your video so much. Probably why it hit me so hard. And yeah, it became a messy cesspool of tears at our summit, just like I did on this podcast today. I'm like, man, like what the heck is Rock is just reaching in and grabbing my heart, man. That's what you do. But this was awesome, man. Thank you for coming on today. This was a special episode. So, and I would love to have you back on when you officially launch that book because I think
Perfect.
it'd be great to have you on and talk even deeper about the book.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. And um, there's not a lot of people that can say they have, is it 1,400 podcasts now?
Yeah.
That's 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 exceptional, as you know. But a lot of the listeners don't know what it takes to do what you're doing, and to have the heartfelt courage to go deep where you go on top of that, and then to be a father of four boys and have the opportunity to um, create some amazing humans. Respect.
Back at you, man. That respect goes right back to you. So thank you very much, man. Like I honestly feel like, I met a good man cut from the same cloth who's trying to navigate his way through, his own traumas and his own fatherhood journey and marriage journey and also try to help a few people along the way. So I love it. Love it.
Yeah, the fun thing is when you get to it, you start to realize you can cry about it without getting as hooked as you used to. It's almost like they're gentler tears. They're releasing that is okay. I used to fight it a lot at the beginning, and I still do sometimes, depending on the environment. But after a while, it's kind of like, okay, it's got to come out. I pushed it down for so long. There's still a little bit more to come out today. Okay, let's let it come out.
Let's let it go. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting you say that. I didn't know what that was that I've been feeling that for probably the past year or two to where, I guess I should say I'm a, I'm more okay with, not feeling like I don't feel like a big puss when I shed a tear over it. I'll put it that way. How about
Yeah,
that? That's about a
yeah,
year.
I got you.
So yeah,
I got you. And I don't want to say it's modern day, like, before it was like if you're a man and you cried, it was like, whoa. But I think it's the knowledge out there is people understand that a lot of our traumas, then, the issues are in the tissues. And so let, let it go, heal yourself, be okay to let it go. And that's the journey I'm on. You know, in my book, I talk about the other way to correct your I used to's is anytime you say negative words like I wish, I don't think that word is very useful. I wish it wasn't raining. I wish this started when I was younger. You're playing a victim. You're giving up your power of the moment to something that cannot be. So in the book, I'm going to have I wish, I should have, I could have, try, I can't, I have to, and then prompt people to upgrade all of those experiences because words create your world. And if you keep on upgrading your words and the way you communicate with yourself, you change your vibration and all of a sudden you feel lighter. And I swear to God, people say to me, like, like you look different to me. Like what you like, you look super happy or you look young. I don't know what it is, Rock. Like, I don't can't point to it, but I don't know. You look different than 3 months ago, 6 months ago. And I think that's when you start to let go of all the crap that's in there. And that's a really exciting journey.
I would agree, man. You know, your frequency is what you'll frequently see, I think. And I think it's safe to say that if you and I are kind of cut from the same cloth, you know, we probably enter into seasons where we don't feel that way. And then we enter into seasons where we're just like, dude, like I'm like everything feels amazing. Right.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. And I think if we're also willing to bring better and intently bring better energy to other people, especially our families, you know, that's gonna nothing but help as well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again, Rock. This was awesome, dude. Really, really appreciate you. And if you're ever through the Midwest, man, doing a book signing or a book tour or anything like that, I would love to know and love to maybe do a podcast in person if you want, or at least you know, have you sign my book in blood or something. How about that?
Okay. Well, once I got my whole gear ready to rock and roll, I'll reach out. And if we don't connect before that, many blessings to
Okay.
you.
Back at it, brother. I appreciate you coming on.
Okay. Cheers.
Well, all right, guys, that's all we got time for today. But what an incredible, incredible story by Rock Thomas today. I highly admire this guy. I interviewed him quite some time ago, and I got to tell you, this guy's story, if this one doesn't touch our hearts as dads, I don't know what does, because this one really, really went to the depths of our soul. I think as an adult, as a father, and maybe even as a kid. Maybe you guys can relate to his story. I know I can to some degree, but I'll tell you, we have these small windows of opportunities to connect with our kids and to be a dad, and we've got to capture them. And I know if you're listening to this podcast, it's really important for you to capture them. So, in the spirit of capturing these things, guys, I'm going to have all the links for Rock in the show notes. If you guys go to thedadedge.com/1354 for this show, again, thedadedge.com/1354 for this episode. I'll also have a link in there for you for my brand new book for pre-orders, which is thedadedge.com/legendary book, The Pursuit of Legendary Fatherhood. I'm giving away 2 free courses with that pre-order. So for $28, you can get access to my Creating More Patience course, which in 45 minutes I teach you 6 different skills on how to be more patient and resilient with your kids, and then 11 skills in the Creating an Extraordinary Marriage, where you can communicate better with your wife. It's through elevated communication, connection, and intimacy. So those are two of my most popular courses. Each one of those are sold for $500. But if you pre-order the book for $28, I am giving this away to the first 100 people who will pre-order the book. So head on over to thedadedge.com/1354 for this show. And gentlemen, I will see you on Wednesday for my show with me and Ethan. Take care, gents.